What's going on, folks? This is MrColionNoir, and this is going to be my head-to-head comparison of the Glock 26. Okay, this is actually a Glock 27, but considering the Glock 26 and the Glock 27 are exactly the same dimensionally, we're going to act like this is a 26. So this is my head-to-head comparison of my Glock 26 or 27/26 versus the H&K P2000sk. The Glock, in essence, runs the polymer frame world, but as many of you all also know, the H&K was the first manufacturer to actually design a polymer frame weapon. And usually when individuals look for polymer frame carry concealed weapons, first weapon they think of is the Glock 26, or in this case the 27, which I said before is the exact same shape and size dimensionally. Okay, we all know that especially when we're talking about concealed carry, that looks are usually trumped by other factors, more important factors. I don't know, maybe things such as reliability, durability, all those things. But at the same time, these are guns. We do take a loving of them, and they are tools, and they're also, to a certain degree, for lack of a better word, are toys. But with that being said, from just a sheer look standpoint, we all know the Glock is coined as the ugly duckling, or the face only a mother could love. And quite frankly, I've actually grown quite fond of the way the Glock looks over some time, and I have to say that it's definitely grown on me, especially considering I thought this thing was ugly initially. So the Glock has come a long way, but it is still a gun specifically designed for general purpose. It's utilitarian in looks, and I really doubt it'll win any beauty contest. But like they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some of you may really like the Glock in terms of the way it looks. So now we have the H&K over here. The H&K is rather a purpose-driven looking gun also, except that it goes about being real cool about it. It's kind of neat, especially considering the way it's milled and all the extras and all the wheels and the bells and whistles that are on the gun. So I'd have to say, me, quite frankly, personally, I think that the H&K is a better looking gun. Even I'd argue, even from an objective standpoint, that majority of people would assume that the H&K was a better looking gun. So I'm gonna have to give this battle to the H&K. The Glock 26 has been termed with being called the baby Glock. That's because compared to its bigger brothers, it is really small. But yet some people still complain about the size or the actual thickness of this particular gun. I've grown accustomed to it. I did not like it at first, but I have definitely grown accustomed to it. But if you take the Glock 26 and compare it to the H&K, you notice a couple things. For instance, the Glock is thicker than the H&K as far as the grips are concerned. So when I place these two together, if you look, or at least to my eyes, the Glock is a bit thicker. As you can see, the H&K actually sits a little taller, and as you can see, I have them both lined up. The H&K sits a little bit taller than the Glock. And then as far as actual milling on the slides, the H&K seems to be more contoured so that it fits against the body a little bit better, more so than the Glock does. The Glock is basically a brick, for lack of a better word. But but people have been calling the Glocks bricks for years now. So as far as the sizes are concerned, these two are pretty equal, but the H&K being a little bit taller and the Glock being a little bit fatter, I'm sure I'll have this annotated with the actual statistics on each of these guns. But from a feel standpoint, to be honest with you, the Glock feels more streamlined. As far as weight's concerned, I think I might slightly, and I mean slight, gonna have to give it to the H&K as far as the way it feels in terms of weight, and these are unloaded, so. A lot of people, as far as the way this gun feels, a lot of people think that the Glocks are too bulky. Then there are another camp of people who believe that the Glocks are perfect. Now, we all know this is all personal, so I'm gonna try to keep this as objective as possible. With the Glock, in this particular scenario, it's really devoid of any true poignant or ergonomical features. Yes, you have the finger grooves, and then you have the stippling on the frame, but there's nothing that screams this gun was designed to be comfortable. But I will say this, out of all guns that I've encountered, the Glock is probably the one gun which I believe, especially with this back arch here, that is optimized, well, at least in the case of the 26, for all intents and purposes, is optimized for single-handed shooting. There's just something about the way this gun is formed that I believe allows for someone to better make confident shots using one hand. So even though this thing doesn't scream ergonomics, I do believe it's a great gun in terms of being able to shoot one-handed. Now with the H&K basically screams ergonomics. Everything about this gun seems to be designed for ergonomics and designed to make the gun more ergonomical. It's also outfitted with with the finger grooves, but then you have things like this pinky extension, and this is outfitted with one too, but this one is rubber, so it kind of allows a certain molding of such, and then also gives enough retention so that you have a more positive grip on the actual frame, and it's secure. And then on top of that, with the stippling on this is more purposeful. You can tell that it almost seems like there was more time taken to actually design this so that it not only is not as abrasive, but it's just as effective as something that would be more abrasive. And then you also got to factor in the fact that you have this huge slide release. So with that being said, from a sheer ergonomic standpoint, I'd have to give it to the H&K. Now, the H&K is pretty much a completely different gun than the Glock is, just because it has an external hammer and you're working with a double action, single action pull with the H&K. Now, once again, of course, that all comes down to preference. The H&K has a very heavy trigger pull. It's like 11 pounds. And then with the reset, you're looking at about 4 pounds. So some people like the double action, single action, some don't. Me personally, I can go back and forth and that doesn't really bother me if I have. And as far as the Glock is concerned, like I said, these have been safety checks. As far as the Glock is concerned, the Glock is what they call a safe action, or constant action, I guess you can call it. I don't know. But this is going to be your typical 5 pound trigger pull, same trigger pull each time. Then you have the reset, and then you have the same pull. Now, quite frankly, I know I just said I could go between the two, but if I had to choose, I'd go with the Glock. I think the Glock has a much more positive reset, and I really like that. Some people don't, but I do. I really